Our next teller, I'll read this in Spanish and then translate. This is his quote. Adios rogando y con el mazo dando. Pray to God for help, but do the work anyway. And he tells a story called Up to the Sky. Welcome back, Antonio Sacre.
Totally worried about my zipper right now. Check it. How many of you are lucky enough to be able to talk to your parents on the phone or see them? How many of you are lucky enough to be able to talk to your parents on the phone, but how many of you cannot talk to your parents on the phone or see them? How many of you cannot talk to your parents on the phone or see them, but you talk to them anyway? My dad is 82 years old. He is in amazing health. He walks 5 miles a day. He's totally with it. We talk every day on the phone. My mom is 73 years old. If you talk to her, she is incredibly with it, but her body has let her down. Her body's let her down a little bit, maybe because she was a 4-pack-a-day smoker for the last 40 years. I have 2 kids. She adores them, they adore her, and she can't do the things that she did with me when I was a kid. She can't take them into the ocean and swim straight out as far as she can, dragging her 3 children with them. She walked 10 years ago right along the edge of, not this beach, but just up north a little bit, and said, honey, she's from Boston, right where the water meets the sand is where healing happens. She can't take my kids on the beach and tell them that. She tells them the story in the living room, but she can't take them to the beach anymore. Osteoporosis, COPD, pneumonia, breast cancer, skin cancer, every condition she's had exacerbated by the smoking that she did. And when I was younger, I remember we were being the, Jim, I just thought about this today. I was at a birthday party for a kid, and the mom didn't have matches to light the candles. And nobody had matches to light the candles. There were no matches or lighters anywhere. We sang happy birthday with no candles lit at all. Can you imagine that happening in the 1970s? There were smokers everywhere. Do you remember being on an airplane where there was the no smoking section in the front of the plane and the smoking section in the back of the plane? Did nobody figure this out? We would take Amtrak, there would be a non-smoking car, and then a smoking car, but the dining car would be at the front. So as an 8-year-old, you're walking through the smoking car. My mom is a nurse, a registered nurse, and I don't know if they knew that smoke. I guess they didn't, because there was ads about doctors saying how smoking was great. So she smoked all the time. She smokes constantly. She smoked in the summer when the windows would be rolled down. Do you remember rolling down your windows? And she smoked in the winter when the windows were rolled up. I have 2 brothers. They're twins. And my one brother, Henry, loved the smell of that smoke so much. He would steal cigarettes from her pack. She would never notice. He started smoking at age 10. My brother Robert didn't like it, but he didn't hate it. But me, I hated it so much. My whole childhood, begging my mom in the car in the winter, Mom, can you please not smoke for the 9 minutes it takes to get us to the school building? Mom, can you please not smoke? And then health class in 5th grade where I learned that smoking was bad for you. There actually were studies that, here's a picture of a lung that looks like when you're smoking. Here's a lung when you're not smoking. Here's what lung cancer is. Mom, I heard that you're gonna die from smoking. As she lights up another cigarette, she says, well, I could be shooting heroin or smoking crack. Okay, Mom, I guess that's okay, no big deal. So I live in a duplex on the bottom floor. I get to rent it out. It helps pay my mortgage. And when my mom, about 10 years ago, moved to Los Angeles with my brother, they needed a place to stay. The duplex was open. They lived below us. I saw my mom every day. It's a non-smoking building, and every day my wife and I would smell smoke coming up through the floorboards. I'd walk downstairs. I'd walk into a cloud of smoke. Mom, have you been smoking? No, wasn't me. Was there anybody else in here smoking? Nope, nobody was smoking at all. Annoying. My wife hated it. It just gave me memories of what that was. It made me so mad. And then a year later, my wife is pregnant. Mom, you can't smoke in the house. My wife is pregnant. Okay, I'm not going to smoke. A day later, we're smelling the smoke coming up. I can't believe it. The child is born. She smells like smoke all the time. Anytime his adorable grandmother, who loves him so much, comes near him, he starts crying. He has never smelled smoke on anybody. In Los Angeles, it's not allowed anymore. So he doesn't know what to do. I'm like, Mom, you gotta stop. And I finally, with my brother, I'm saying, what are we gonna do? He said, well, what would you do if a normal person that you were renting it out to were smoking? I said, I would evict them. He said, you gotta evict Mom. I said, I can't evict my mother from the house. And she just kept smoking and kept smoking. And so I did. I wrote the eviction letter. I evicted my mom. I said, Mom, you can't live here anymore. And she started laughing and threw it on the ground and kept smoking. And then a year later, just a constant battle, they moved out into another place. And my mom had another one of her horrible things, ended up in the hospital. And the doctor said, now is the time to choose if you want to continue to live or not. She was in the hospital for 6 weeks, and she was not allowed to smoke in the hospital. I guess they don't allow that anymore. And she just stopped smoking. She just stopped smoking. She says, it's like a friend that I miss, like a friend that died, and I can't see him anymore. I think about it all the time. But I'm not going to smoke. And she hasn't smoked ever since. And now she comes to our house. I see her once a week. I talk to her if I don't see her in that week. And she sits with my 2 children. She plays checkers with them. She always loses. I don't think she's throwing the game. I think she's actually losing. And she plays with my children. My son loves Matchbox cars. He's 8 years old. He has 150 Matchbox cars. And my son got the red car. I got the red car. And my mom says, I want the red car. Momo, he calls her Momo. Momo, there's 149 other cars, including a bunch of other red cars. No, I want that red car. You can't have the red car, Momo, but I want that. And they start fighting. And then she grabs the red car from my son. He starts crying, and she looks at the 3-year-old, and she says, you don't have the red car, I've got the red car. And now the 3-year-old starts crying. The 3-year-old's crying, the 8-year-old's crying, my wife is looking at me, and I say, Mom, what are you doing? She says, this is what you kids used to do to me. How do you like it? How do you like it? She said that when I was born, she was leaving the hospital in Boston. There was a picture, a painting of a stork on the ground. And the nurse said, oh, Mary Ann, don't step on that stork or you'll be back in 1 year's time. My mother looked at her, she said, yeah. She went, do you know this story? Exactly a year later, on the day that I turned 1, she gave birth to twin boys. Irish triplets, 3 boys in 1 year. She says, I'm a candidate for sainthood. And the three of us made her life miserable with the fighting. In the 70s, when you weren't allowed to be strapped in the back seat where seatbelts didn't exist, so the 3 of us are just running around in the back. She's chain smoking. Also, you remember, when did they invent coffee cups when they would have holders? She'd have her coffee cup balanced on the dashboard, the coffee going everywhere, with the hands swatting back, trying to get the kids going on. We're just making her life miserable and screaming, and also in the middle of the night in the winter, waking us all up. Put on your snow boots. It just stopped snowing. We're going outside to build midnight snowmen. And swimming on the beach. She would take us out as far as she could go, and then she would take us out to see the movie Jaws. Kid's life, and my wife cannot be alone with my mom anymore. I have to be there with her. And just on one of these conversations the last year, my dad called me on the phone. He's from Cuba, and he said, Mijo, I've been thinking about all the mistakes I made. He says, I'm sorry for all the mistakes I made. And if I could go back in time, I would make the exact same mistakes. Because at every moment I did the very, very best I could do. And it struck me. I was so glad to be able to talk to my dad. And I thought about my children and the mistakes I've already made. He's only 8. I made one coming here to the storytelling screen. Whatever. And my mom, I struck by that. And I said, Mom, Dad said they're divorced. I said, Mom, Dad said this recently. She says, I didn't make one mistake raising you 3 boys. Not one mistake. So I'm grateful to have the perfect mom.